Again, we'll do a roll call.
Here.
Hey, John,
Commissioner Richardson. I'm sorry. Commissioner Richardson.
you want to sit?
Here.
Commissioner Davis.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bennett. Here. Commissioner Peskovich.
So we do have a quorum required to have a meeting. If we have 3 board members present, that is a quorum. And we have 4 members present. Now we'll do the pledge of allegiance. We have one item on the agenda tonight, and that's to discuss complaints against Marshfield Housing Authority Commissioner Pasevich and potential vote to recommend to the Board of Select, Town of Marshfield, Massachusetts, to seek removal of Commissioner Pasevich as an elected commissioner of the Marshfield Housing Authority. And I'm going to ask our executive director to read a complaint that we had.
Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I have prepared a letter dated May 22nd, 2024. I would ask for your support to send this letter to the town of Marshfield, directed to Mr. Michael A. Moresco, Town Administrator, Town of Marshfield. Reason: complaint against Mr. Joe Peskovich and request for removal. Dear Mr. Moresco, I am writing in my capacity as Executive Director of the Quincy Housing Authority, the managing agent of the Marshfield Housing Authority, to formally file a complaint against Mr. Joe Peskovich pursuant to MGL 121B, Section 6, and respectfully request that the Selectmen remove Mr. Peskovich from the Marshfield Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. As you know, the Select Board first received a complaint signed by 49 Marshfield Housing Authority residents requesting that Mr. Pesovich's removal on August 7, 2023, and later held a hearing to determine sanctions on August 31st, 2023. A copy of the initial August 7, 2023 complaint is attached as Exhibit A, and a copy of the minutes of the August 31st, 2023 hearing is also attached as Exhibit B. At the hearing, the Select Board found that Mr. Pesovich's inappropriate behavior, including publicly referring to Marshfield Housing Authority residents as so-called disabled in the Amen Corner, as well as insinuating that the residents are fraudulently receiving housing assistance by stashing lottery winnings, constituted misconduct in the office. Because Mr. Pesovich appeared remorseful, and the Board of Selectmen wanted to give Mr. Pesovich a second chance to correct his inappropriate behavior, the Select Board voted to issue Mr. Pesovich a warning rather than remove him from office. See Exhibit B. Mr. Pesovich's behavior has not abated, and indeed, Mr. Pesovich has even publicly mocked the August 31st, 2023 hearing, calling it a kangaroo court and a sham. I write today to request the removal of Mr. Pesovich from the Board of Commissioners. Mr. Pesovich's behavior has failed to improve since August 31st, 2023 hearing, and continues to deeply harm the residents. Based on Mr. Pesovich's continuing misconduct and harassment of the Marshfield Housing Authority residents, which is outlined below and detailed in complaints from residents attached as Exhibit C, removal is now warranted and necessary. For example, since August 31st, 2023, Mr. Pesovich has reportedly alleged that the residents lied at the August 31st, 2023 hearing, as well as alleged that the residents fabricated audio clips of his podcasts where he played at the hearing. He continues to publicly make false representations about the Marshfield Housing Authority's finances and refuses to cooperate in MHA funding, which has now created fear and anxiety among the residents who are concerned for their housing and the governance of the same. Residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority continue to tell me that they no longer wish to attend meetings due to Mr. Pesovich's threatening behavior. They are afraid to do so. Residents called for Mr. Pesovich to resign on October 31st, 2023, Board of Commissioners meeting, and again requested Mr. Pesovich's removal on April 16, 2024. In a recent Facebook post, Mr. Pesovich referred to one of our residents as a spiteful, bitter hag, Exhibit C. This distasteful and harassing conduct on part of an elected commissioner must stop. At May 13, 2024, Board of Commissioners meeting, I read aloud a statement with regard to Mr. Pesovich's harassing and inappropriate comments and behavior with respect not only to me, but to the Marshfield Housing Authority staff and the residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority. The statement is attached as Exhibit D. Mr. Pesovich's conduct includes not only making false and defamatory statements about me, but also videotaping an employee without consent and repeatedly interfering and harassing Marshfield Housing Authority employees in their jobs. I am also for the Select Board's reference, attaching additional correspondence regarding Mr. Pesovich's mistreatment of the staff members. It should go without saying that each employee should have the right to work in an environment free from this type of harassment and abuse. Exhibit E. Mr. Pesovich's recent and persistent misconduct continues to be hugely disruptive to me, the Marshfield Housing Authority staff, the Board of Commissioners, and most importantly, the residents who he is elected to serve. It is in my opinion that his continued role as commissioner is detrimental to the Marshfield Housing Authority and to those whom we all serve. I respectfully request that the Select Board convene another hearing to remove Mr. Pesovich from office. Our residents deserve the right to be peaceful enjoyment in their own homes. Our staff deserve to be respected and work in a respectful environment. This will not be possible while Mr. Pesovich remains as a Board of Commissioner. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate me. Sincerely, James Morales, Executive Director, Marshfield Housing Authority.
Thank you. I'll open up to discussion of the board. Any comments by?
I think those exhibits speak for themselves. I think we're all aware of the background. It's about all that I really
I think on his last podcast, he said we ambushed them.
I believe when he left the last meeting, he gave the residents the finger of the whale.
And he said, on his podcast, the last 5 minutes of his podcast, he said, we have ambushed him in that meeting.
He just has a total lack of respect for the residents and the staff that work here.
I would just like to say that I'm shocked that we're here, that we need to be here. And when I came on the board 2 years ago, the temperature, the whole environment was 100% different. Everybody was happy, everybody enjoyed living here, everybody was friendly, and they would come in and speak freely and not have the pressure and stress and everything else, and it pains me to see residents of Marshfield not being able to live in comfort as they did a year ago. And it really does pain me to see that we're in this situation. There are no words, but you're right, the exhibits speak for themselves.
Anything else?
I was going to offer a motion.
Not yet, not yet. Anything else? I'll open it up to the public and the residents. Any comments? Yes.
I asked for a copy of this deal.
I'm sorry, could you just
Speak up.
state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, Flo Sargent, I live here. I called and got a copy of the oath of office, and it's very short, but it says that it asks, do you solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially perform your duties as a member of the MHA board? And he has never shown any impartiality at all. And I even looked up impartial, and it says treating all rivals or disputants fair and just, unbiased, unprejudiced, dispassionate, open-minded, and it even said, Merriam-Webster even said, with no axe to grind. You know, I feel that he has dishonored his oath in general, every meeting. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Pestovich continually hides behind the idea of free speech, that everything he talks about is free speech. And I looked it up, and it's like there are limitations to free speech. And one of them is defamation. And he has the means to defame. You know, James, the executive director, and the whole staff, you, the board, the other board members, as well as the residents. And that right now, that alone, it dismisses the whole idea of free speech.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Robin, T. Gardens. I just want to thank the board for taking us seriously and helping us.
Yeah, yes.
Any other comments?
Yeah.
No, seeing none, I'm going to make I apologize. Yes.
Hi, I would just like to read to you, Laurie Sweeney, I have to give my address, please. 119 Marginal Street, Marshfield. According to the state, because I did check on this just 2 weeks ago, and it is, board members shall set a high standard for integrity and work with the LHA's executive director to ensure that all ethical standards are upheld, conflicts of interest are avoided, and applicable rules are established and followed. Board members shall safeguard the LHA's reputation and goodwill in the community. And that is the state of Massachusetts.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll make some comments. Each of us was given a copy of the agenda delivered to our homes. And I'm trying to remember the exact date that it was delivered, but it was well, in time for the 48-hour notice. It's, my opinion, it's unfortunate that Commissioner Savage is not here this evening, but I would like to make some comments based on what I have heard from the other commissioners, from the executive director, from employees of the Quincy Housing Authority, and also from the residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority. So in reference, and this is being addressed to Mr. or Commissioner Pasevich, in reference to your action after our Board of Commissioners meeting last week, 2 scenarios are plausible, and neither one of them are attractive. As you were leaving the property of the MHA after our BOC meeting on May 13th, either the vulgar gesture you made towards several residents was trivial pettiness and ought to be beneath the dignity of an elected commissioner, or it was intended as a meaningful vulgar symbolism, in which case it is a real problem. In reference to your tenure on the Board of Commissioners of the Marshfield Housing Authority, overall, I believe you have sought to disrupt the operations of the Marshfield Housing Authority and the Quincy Housing Authority as our managing agency, and have attempted on occasions to dominate our Board of Commissioners meetings rather than engage in a debate in a respectful manner. Disrespect cannot have a place within the MHA operations. It is unfortunate that our discussion this evening may further exacerbate the MHA's already febrile climate. I think your comments on your podcast and social media are misguided, incorrect, and disrespectful toward the residents of the MHA, the employees of the QHA, the executive director of the MHA, and some members of the Board of Commissioners of the MHA. And this gives me great concern. I request that you stop spreading incorrect information on social media and your podcast. Hateful rhetoric leads to hateful actions. When combined with earlier acts you have demonstrated about the MHA at the BOC meetings, on social media, on your own podcast, and in other situations, these acts amplify the need for the Board of Commissioners to impose enforcement on a commissioner who steadfastly refuses to police himself. What is the right thing to do, considering we as a Board of Commissioners have a fiduciary responsibility to the Marshfield Housing Authority and the residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority? If we do not take action about your conduct, we as a board are not fulfilling our fiduciary responsibilities toward the Marshfield Housing Authority. You have been previously offered on several occasions the opportunity to meet with the executive director, and you have not taken advantage of these opportunities. At our last Board of Commissioners meeting, I personally asked you to meet with myself and the executive director. Initially, you said yes, but you could not meet that evening. At that meeting, I asked you to let me know by the end of last week when you could meet with us. To date, I have not heard from you. Prior to your election as a member of the Board of Commissioners of the Marshfield Housing Authority, and also during your tenure as a Commissioner of the Board of the Marshfield Housing Authority, you have said it is your desire and objective to serve the residents who occupy the premises of the Marshfield Housing Authority. I do believe that is your desire and were your intentions. Unfortunately, your intentions have not borne any fruit, and the opposite has occurred during your tenure as a Commissioner of the Marshfield Housing Authority. Your actions have alienated the tenants, compromised your position with the Executive Director of the Marshfield Housing Authority, caused Commissioners of the Board of Commissioners of the Marshfield Housing Authority to feel uncomfortable and concerned for their safety and well-being, included untruths on social media and your podcast about the operations of the Marshfield Housing Authority, made employees of the Quincy Housing Authority, which is the managing agent of the Marshfield Housing Authority, uncomfortable and concerned for their safety. You humiliated the Executive Director of the Marshfield Housing Authority. You've caused residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority properties to be concerned for their safety, when it is our obligation to protect their safety. The public and the tenants in affordable housing must have trust in the leadership of those who have been given the responsibility to be commissioners of the housing authorities throughout the state. This trust is essential to the operations of a housing authority. Officials who violate that trust against those they represent must be held accountable. If you, Commissioner Pasevich, want to make negative comments about the residents of the Marshfield Housing Authority, employees of the Quincy Housing Authority, the Executive Director of the Marshfield Housing Authority, and/or Commissioners of the Marshfield Housing Authority, then you should do so as a citizen, but not when you are as a citizen and also a Commissioner of the Marshfield Housing Authority. It is for these reasons that I make the following motion. Motion to adopt and approve the written complaint dated March 22nd, 2024 by James Marafis, Executive Director of the Marshfield Housing Authority, and also Quincy Housing Authority, which is the managing agent of the Marshfield Housing Authority, and to also seek and recommend removal of Commissioner Pasevich from the Board of Commissioners of the Marshfield Housing Authority by the Select Board, Town of Marshfield, Massachusetts, and the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 121B, Section 6. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the motion?
Will that be in the record? But
This will be in the record. Seeing no discussion on the motion, I'll call for a roll call.
Commissioner Delvedillo? Yes. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes,
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes. Since the motion was approved, we will ask that a letter from our attorney will be sent to the select board asking for a special meeting of the select board to be held as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I'll now call for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion?
Commissioner Delvedillo? Yes. Commissioner Bailey?
Yes.
Commissioner Bennett?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson?
Yes. Thank you for being in attendance.
Thank you.